bit,
Okay.
and I got kind of caught into that and forgot to like really trying to find out more about him.
Mm.
So I think my first I don't know, would it be like justification slash question was basically that like I can't just let him buy the program, because part of what makes this program different than others is that we're very selective on who gets to join the community so that we can maintain a high level of quality of the community.
Okay.
And that to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for him and that he will be a good fit for the community, I need to know more about him. But then rather than actually asking questions to find out more about him, kind of just continued doing that same thing over and over again.
Mm. And what kind of gem type was he
He
or
was
she?
a sapphire.
A sapphire.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So you did the exact opposite that you need to do for a sapphire.
Yes.
So did you think of a better way of going about it with a sapphire?
Um, he actually, after the role play, we went through and line by line talking about ideas on where I could have inserted different question, or sometimes questions like he said he actually didn't think any particular question was like a bad question. It was just like none of the questions I followed up on. And so it was kind of this as he said, throwing gates up on him just out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
rather than um, really like digging deep in that way. So, and honestly, during the call, I couldn't even place like my thumb on what gem he was. I just knew he wasn't a pearl.
He was or wasn't?
Wasn't.
Okay.
But
Ah, okay.
that that really did just right out the gate, him wanting to buy, that really did kind of just throw me off, and I don't think I recovered like I should have.
Well, is it because he played a type of gem that you were not used to role playing with?
Um, that may have factored in a little bit, but that would be, I think, the third time I've role played with a sapphire.
Okay.
I think the primary factor was I didn't, before the role play, really um do the right mental preparation. Like
Okay.
my introduction was kind of a little sloppy, and I think that was due to me not really having my head completely in the game at the start. So that combined with him starting off quite hard on me,
Mm,
just I was playing catch up the whole time.
mm, okay. Interesting. Now that's gonna happen. It happens to me as well. Hi, Michael, by the way.
Because one of the things he mentioned was like towards the end of the call, was getting a lot more into being a proper closer, but it was just like the first third of the call, I was completely
caught
off
in
guard, and my
like a
responses.
deer in headlights. You didn't know where to go with that.
Yeah. And then once I started getting some stuff to work with, I like doubled down on some of the things, but I was then completely blind on other things. So I just didn't give myself material that I needed to work with.
Hmm. So preparation is definitely key before you get on a call. Read your creed. You have the creed?
Yeah, I've got the creed right by my computer, but yeah, I didn't do really any preparation immediately before the call.
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening in on the previous call, and then at the end, after they got done with their feedback, he was just like, "Hey, does someone want to role play with me?" I was like, "Sure," and I really should have done a bit of preparation before offering.
Yeah, yeah, no, you can offer and say, just give me a minute. Let me prepare. Nothing stops you from doing that. You don't have to jump in right away.
I didn't think about that.
That's okay. It comes. It comes with practice. So what kind of so first of all, the fact that he's jumping on the call and saying, what does it take to get started? Uh, do you think an emerald would be telling you something like that?
That night, I kind of thought about it that possibly was. I thought the most likely was a ruby or a sapphire.
Okay.
The only
Yeah.
the only way I could see an emerald was an emerald that had done all the research, had completely sold himself on it just by studying, and now literally just wanted to find out how to purchase. But
Okay.
as I've thought about it, that doesn't completely make sense to me. So,
No, it's a possibility. So how would you validate whether it's an emerald or a sapphire or a ruby?
finding out um how he found out about Downlock and how long he's been following to ascertain how much research he's done, and as well as finding out.
Well, you're on the right track. You're talking about asking questions.
Well,
Um,
that's where, broadly speaking, I just needed to ask more questions. Like,
yes, yes.
if I was actually asking questions, I probably would have gotten the information, and then I would know what I'm talking about.
Now, what do you think of would have happened if you had asked him, "What do you mean?"
You mean instead of right out of the gate trying to throw up defenses, literally the first thing say, just like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Okay. Um, he may have given me a opening to then ask for like his motivations and stuff like that without me trying to have to force that. He may have responded with like, if he was an emerald and he did all the research, he may respond with something along the lines of, "Well, I've been following Downlock for a bit. I really like what I've seen, and I've decided it's time that I need to join HTC," or something in that general direction.
Okay.
Um,
And as an emerald, he would have probably said, "Well, I'm asking to know exactly what needs to get done. What do you need from me? I'm ready to ready to get going," type of thing. As an emerald.
yeah. So
As a sapphire, what would he have said? Probably.
I still am not familiar enough with Sapphire. I don't feel like I would accurately know that, but what, something along the lines of probably Sapphire hasn't done as much research because they tend to be more impulsive.
Right.
So something along the lines of like, well, I've seen a few of Dan Locke's videos and I'm really interested in what he's got, and I'm excited to just jump in HTC and learn more about what he's got or something along that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
So
Something along those lines. And with that, then you could just go along and say, okay, well, do you know how much the program is? Haven't explained it to you. Why do you want this? Tell me.
so I generally speaking, my tactic should have been basically having them prove to me that they've done the research to justify them just buying.
Yeah, just explaining to you what their reasons are that they're so ready to go.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense than what I did.
It's okay, you learn. Okay, so we started chatting a little bit before. How's everybody doing today? So we got Alex. Hi, Alex. Richie. Good morning. Michael. Kong. Excellent. So we got two.
Hey, good morning, guys.
So let's get going. There may be some stragglers joining us a little later on. I'll see if I can get some more of you guys coming in here. I forgot to mention to you that today we're going to play a game. So just so that we can dive a little deeper into the questions and how to ask questions. So the theme of this last class obviously was asking questions, right? Did I lose everybody?
Yep.
Okay. And next week, and actually a little bit of structure on how to get the calls going. This week is going to be, the class is going to be about objections. So I want to practice a little bit, give you a chance to get more comfortable in asking the right questions, so that's going to be a good building block on the week to come. Now, let's just go down the line and see what your biggest takeaways were from this week's class. Starting with Benjamin. By the way, Benjamin, unmute, and beautiful letter. I didn't know you were a wordsmith.
Well, actually, so that kind of plays into my biggest takeaway. So during the class, I wrote down that I know so was my biggest takeaway. And I guess that really was just the whole you act based on what you think, who you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever identity we choose for ourselves, that is the life we will get. And so we just have to get really honest about what lifestyle we really want. Who do we really want to be? But when he brought up the homework about doing the letter to your younger self, I'm not sure if you remember, but was it Friday before last? I think it was. You, me, and a couple other guys were on Discord, and you were coaching me and the guy I was role playing with about how we were both projecting onto our client.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember actually exactly what you said, but it was something that you said to him, and that just got me into thinking about using the lie homework as a format for trying to delve into more of like my past. things that I did, and I may be looking at them in an unhealthy way.
Okay. Yeah,
So
the 5 whys, yeah.
so I actually had started writing that letter a week ago, which is why I was able to get it out so quickly.
Mm.
But it was in kind of a mess of a structure. And then when he said, well, write as a letter to yourself, I was like, okay, that makes sense. That'll work as a good format. And one of the things, like, I would never have claimed I'm a wordsmith, but I realized that was actually something I've always done well. Like, I've been on my favorite program to ever use when I was a kid was Word. Like, I just love writing, but it was an element of my personality I just kind of didn't acknowledge. And like, I was really happy to share that letter with you guys because I honestly enjoyed writing it.
Nice. Well, I enjoyed reading it. I don't know if everybody else feels the same, but it was definitely very touching. Thank you.
Well, that's where I actually shared that letter. I made a couple revisions to it, both fixing some of the grammar, but also then I'm slightly altered it and shared a copy with my mom and dad because they're currently going through some stuff, and I felt that would be very beneficial for them.
Hmm.
And actually, without getting too much into it, after my dad read that letter, that was the first time I've seen him stand completely straight in a long time.
What does that mean? Stand completely straight.
Normally, he slouches a lot,
Hmm.
but that was the first time because I had him sit down and I was like, "You need to read this, and you need to read this with complete intent. Like, block everything out. Just read this." And after he read that, he stood up and he stood up completely straight because he's a military guy, but it always was kind of um frustrating to see him just walk around slouched, but he actually went full military stance and he walked to his room, but he like it wasn't just kind of moseying there. He was walking on a mission.
Mm. Interesting. Okay.
So
Oh wow. So
I'm
I,
probably
what
I'm
do you think?
probably going to
What do you think that was for?
well, he told me that I basically wrote down things that he had in his head, but it gave him clarity.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm probably going to be doing a lot of writing in the future.
Very good. Good realization. Excellent, Benjamin. Kong, let's go on to you.
Biggest take is just like Benjamin, who you are and what you're doing and the life that you have. My biggest takeaway is that because I am a CNC machinist and that's what I do and that's the lifestyle that I currently have. So I gotta change my identity, gotta change who I am to have to be doing what I'll be doing, what I want to do, and to have the lifestyle that I want in the future.
Okay. Very good. So, um, Richie, what about you? What was your biggest takeaway?
Hey, so my biggest takeaway was very similar to Benjamin and Kong's, just the overall, um, like you can't, you're trying to be a high ticket closer while being something else, And I thought that was very powerful because it made me realize, like, no matter how many techniques we learn, how many classes we take, or just like all this like self-help material, if it's not being absorbed because like the lower self or the previous version of you is kind of blocking it, and that's what you're attached to, then you're not making any progress. So that really like helped change the way I thought about myself and how I could be way more receptive of like the teachings that we've done and the ones that we'll be having in the future.
Very good. Thanks, Richie. Alex, what about you?
So I guess I'll be the fourth to say it's not enough to do. We need to be. And so everything in a sale is about building certainty and clarity, which helps in our identity change.
Okay. Very well. So excellent. Did you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So these are all excellent takeaways. However, you'll come to realize that this is level 1 of what the meaning of be the closer is. And I'll let you discover that. The only thing I want you to take from this is that always remember that when you have a breakthrough, that's the one breakthrough that you see, but there's probably other layers that you're not ready even to realize exist. So this breakthrough will take you to a certain point, and in order to be able to advance, you'll have to have another breakthrough. So just keep that in mind whenever what's going to happen is typically this breakthrough is going to allow you to have some success, do things you didn't know you could do before or didn't realize you could do. You're going to get some successes, and you're going to start feeling confident, and then you're going to hit a wall. And that wall is nothing more than you've come to a point where that realization that you just had today can no longer help you move forward. So you have to step back and have the next level of realization along this point. And it's going to be the same thing for other different elements in order to become a better closer. In the last couple of months, I had to revisit it about 4 times. So if you really want to unlock the power, do a lot of role plays, practice a lot so that you can hit those walls a lot faster. Otherwise, it's going to take you years.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that, the first part? Over the last few months, and then just cut out a little bit.
Over the last few months, well, since August that I've graduated, I had to take a step back and realize that I've hit a wall and get to the next level of realization in being the closer. Not becoming the closer, but being the closer.
Got it.
So basically, whenever you hit a wall and you start saying, well, I made an improvement, I made a change, and things were going well. How come they're not going so well anymore? What am I doing wrong? It's not you. It's just that you've come to a point that now you've got to make the next level of realization. That's all it means. So don't get frustrated. On the contrary, get excited that you're there at the next level of growth. You just have to unlock it. Any questions on that? You can come back to the questions if you have. I'll let you think about that a little bit. So before I go on, did everybody get the top tips for role playing? If not, message me or let me know and I'll send it to you. So the top 10 best tips for role playing. Now, last week, there was a question I didn't have the opportunity to answer, and I think it was Kong that asked it. Oh, we didn't get to Michael's takeaways, I think. Just joined us. Hey, Michael. Did you get a chance to share your takeaways this last class?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you have a chance to share your takeaways from this past week's class 4?
Oh, not yet. Did you guys want me to share that?
Yes, please, because we all did, and I just wanted to hear yours.
Okay. From week 4, I guess the biggest takeaway I had was the agenda step, setting up that framework, because it gives you that control to kind of navigate through the entire call. So that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had from week 4.
Good. So actually, yours was a little different from everybody else. Excellent. So, and why that takeaway? Although you did explain it a little bit, but so it's just to have control on the call.
I would say it's because throughout these weeks that I have been doing the role play, sometimes the purpose of the call would deviate away from the original purpose. So it would extend, and there's a lot of misinformation or things that weren't necessary for the call. But once you establish that agenda, that framework, it kind of shortened things a little bit. So it gives you that time to get you what you need accomplished in that call done.
Very good. Another reason why the agenda is important is that it creates a framework for your call. Because as you're going along, you'll notice that a lot of the conversation is going to be about relationship building. And unless you create that framework, it has a tendency of becoming I'm turning into your friend and you're turning into my friend type of call, instead
Exactly.
of I'm getting to know you so that I can see how I can help you. And that's very important. So in the beginning, it's going to feel awkward as everything, but it's important to set that agenda. Even if it doesn't work, even if it sounds awful, even if it sounds weird, do it. And as you get along, it'll start flowing even better. And it'll
Right.
become part of the conversation instead of, hey, wait, we got to follow this structure. Otherwise, I'm going to get lost and it's not going to be a productive call.
Yeah.
But yes, excellent. So I was asking, did you get the top 10 tips for good role playing?
The 10 tips? Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So the next one, I think it was Kong. Was it Kong that asked me how to properly or make best use of the gem form, the gem tracking form?
No, that's not me.
No, so it's probably Richie that asked that question. In any case, whoever it
Yeah,
was.
that was me.
Good. Okay, so I took note. I want to address that. Have you guys been using that form in your role plays?
Yes, for every single role play.
Good. That's the best way to use it. It's going to help you identify the gems faster. So every time you have a role play, have one of those sheets with you, take notes on it, and just refer to it after the role play. Fill out whatever is left that you haven't filled out, and think about the role play and just use it to get your gem identification muscles toned up. Basically, that's the best way to use it. So does that answer your question, Richie?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that form that you'd like to ask me? Because if you don't, then we'll start playing the game. Going once, going twice, I guess no. Okay, so who wants to learn about a game that's going to help you develop your question asking skills?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
So
Okay, so Michael and Benjamin unmuted first, so you guys are going to start. So the game is called the one-word game, and basically the prospect puts out a word. Doesn't make a difference whatever word it is. Doesn't actually, the more unrelated to HTC it is, the better it is, as long as it's not vulgar. And based on that word, the closer has 5 minutes to ask questions from the prospect to get to know him better. The idea is not to get to a close. The idea is not to do anything other than get to know the prospect. Now, the game is the role of the prospect is to give the starting word, then answer the question that's being asked without volunteering additional information. And unless the closer is able to get you to start talking. So that builds up your muscle on understanding where the prospects are mentally. The closer's objective is to ask questions that build rapport in order for you to get to know the prospect better. And the prospect's goal is to learn how to play with resistance, ask questions so that you can get the prospect to divulge something that's personal to them. Everybody else is a listener, and you have to participate actively in that. It improves your listening skills as a closer. It also allows you to maybe identify a way of questioning that would be different than what you would have done, and maybe identify questions and types of questions that you think are not right, that you wouldn't like to use. So in that way, everybody benefits. And typically how it works is that the prospect, after the 5 minutes, becomes the closer, and and somebody else down the list joins in as a prospect, so that way everybody has a chance to become prospect and closer. Any questions?
Yes, Roz. Can you give us an example? Can you role play with Ben or I and show us?
Yeah, sure. So, Michael, if you want to mute, we'll start the game. You'll be the prospect to start.
Okay.
And then when you become closer, Benjamin will become the prospect. So
Okay.
basically, throw out a word, any word, doesn't make a difference. And then we'll just start in the play and you'll get a sense of how it works.
Okay. Purpose.
Interesting, Michael. What do you mean? What's the purpose? What does that mean for you?
The ultimate goal. A gift.
And is there anything in particular you're referring to when you talk about ultimate gift or goal?
Yes. Speaking in regards to myself, what is my purpose? What is my gift that I can share to the world?
What do you enjoy doing, Michael?
I enjoy serving, right? Not only people, but the purpose. I enjoy creating. I also enjoy helping.
serving, creating, and what was the third one that you mentioned?
Helping.
Helping. Can you give me an example of situations in which you served somebody?
So I do two things. I'm a designer, which is being an artist at heart, and I also work in the real estate realm. So when someone is looking for a specific thing, in terms of like their dream home, in a way I am serving them with my profession in order to help them find that dream home.
Interesting. Okay. And does designer come into the creating thing?
So the creation side, I would say it's the better half of me. It's what I am at heart. I enjoy creating things, whether it's with color, proportions, structure. Um, it doesn't even have to be artistic. It can be, creating a business structure.
Interesting. And talk to me a little bit about helping. What do you mean by that?
I guess helping and serving might be one and the same, but I would say helping is more so knowing what I know, the knowledge that I have under my belt, and utilizing that to assist someone in their journey.
Okay, interesting. And do you make a living doing these things?
I do. The first 2 points I do. I would say the last is more just so for myself. I enjoy that. I enjoy teaching, being a leader, and guiding people almost.
Interesting, very interesting. Thanks for sharing with me, Michael.
Yeah.
And what do you do right now? Do you have a job?
Yes. My main job right now is I have my own clothing brand. It's called Kira. But I do pursue other business ventures on the side as well.
How do you spell that brand? With a K?
It's Kira.
Hmm. And where's that name coming from? That's an interesting name.
Thank you.
Where did you get the name from? The inspiration for that name? It's an interesting name.
So the whole theme of the brand is based on polar opposites. So good and evil, light and darkness. And the name Kira itself, when translated from Japanese, means light or murderer. So it ties in with that theme of dual definitions.
Interesting. Ah. And how did you find out about that word? Do you speak Japanese?
Through anime, actually.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, so the 5 minutes is up, so we can stop there.
Mhm.
So do you guys see a little bit of how it goes?
Yeah.
All right.
I start. I'm seeing it a little better. Yeah.
Okay. So Benjamin, you're the prospect, and Michael is the closer. Come up with a word.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, peace.
Peace. Okay. That's a very unique choice of wording there, or word, I should say. Define that a little bit more for me. What do you mean by peace? Peace with yourself? World peace?
Peace is place. Peace is being where you are as you are in a holistic manner.
Okay. So more so peace with yourself, peace with your surroundings.
Yes.
Now, is that something that you want to achieve?
Yes.
how do you think you can go about achieving peace with yourself?
Through exploration and trial.
Hmm. So through self-discovery and kind of continuing your path and learning while you're discovering yourself.
Yes.
Now, is this something that you've come to terms to or made a decision on because of something that has happened in the past?
It's something that I know I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Something that you're supposed to do. Was this decision, ultimately made through a higher consciousness? Or is this something that you've come to terms to as you've learned more things on this journey?
I would say it is more of a birthright, a predestined path.
Something that's very spiritual to you. Okay.
Yes.
Benjamin, are you very religious?
Yes.
Okay, I see where the integrity comes from. How do you think you can go about achieving this peace? Right? You said through trials, but how from these trials? Is it engaging with different people or situations and learning from them?
Engaging with people, engaging in different scenarios, anything that exposes flaws in my character that I can then
Mm.
grow past.
So it sounds like through your past experiences, you've found out things about yourself, and you're seeking this peace because you want to improve and better yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to become the best version of Benjamin that there is. And peace is part of that, a quintessential part of that for you.
Very much so.
Okay. Now, Roz, pause the role play for a second. When we get to this point, uh, are we complete with the mission, or is there a way to dig a little deeper with Ben?
There's definitely actually so a couple of suggestions. By the way, excellent excellent resistance, Benjamin. Michael, a couple of things that you've done here that made you actually speak more than Benjamin was is I caught you on a couple of occasions giving a question and then giving him options. Just go straight like a jab, ask a question, and
Yeah.
wait for the answer.
Okay.
Then you're having a tendency of giving your opinion or interpretation of his question, but not asking him a question of his
Right.
answers and not give. So when he was talking about at one point, you could have just simply said, "Why is that important to you?"
Mm.
So the trick here is to figure out and learn how to ask a short question that is very probing instead of
Okay.
trying to explain what he said to you and not really ask a question or making it just asking to confirm if you understood what he said.
Okay.
But great, good job. So Benjamin, now you're the closer, and let's go to Kong. as the prospect. Michael, please mute.
Okay, thanks, Ross.
Yeah, not wrong.
How do you do it?
Life.
What does that mean to you?
Living.
Why is that important to you?
To live.
What specifically is living to you?
Things.
What type of thing? What type of things make you feel alive?
Joy.
What type of things do you enjoy doing?
Playing.
Playing, what do you mean by that?
Playing with kids, playing with games, going out, stuff like that.
Is playing life to you?
Kind of.
If it's kind of, then what else is life to you?
Life is to be living.
With what exactly, if life, living, and playing are synonymous, then what does a fully lived life mean to you? What does that look like?
Living with a purpose.
And what would that purpose be?
Be helping my kids.
Is the purpose of life only to help your kids then? Is that, or do you want more?
What do you mean more? More of.
Okay, stop the role play, guys. Very interesting, Benjamin. So a couple of things. The purpose here is to build a relationship and get to know him. Kong, by the way, very good job of putting up resistance and not giving him a lot of information. Benjamin, you're definitely, from what I'm seeing, trying to be too formal with with your questions, and you're not comfortable asking questions, from what I can see. Um, First thing that I would have, by the way, uh, excellent. This is how you're gonna get better. First thing I would have played off of the fact that there's kids playing in the background. You're being a little too formal and too tentative with your questions. Don't be afraid to let yourself loose. I'm noticing that you have a tendency of stopping yourself, or something is preventing yourself from being you. But when you do let yourself go, you're coming up with letters to your younger self type of thing, which is very touching. So this is what it means to be a closer. Right now, something is stopping you from being a closer. You're trying to become a closer. You're too formal with your questions. You're trying to be too esoterical. Be more personable, friendly, and try to connect with the person when you're asking him questions. For example, I would have stopped the role play and said, "Oh, I'm noticing kids in the background. How many do you have?" You don't have to necessarily work with what he said. As long as he gives you a word and you're going off and starting off with that, then you can go in any direction you want. And by the way, guys, you're all going into basically the same type of words. Mix it up, make it fun. You could say banana, you could say gorilla, you could say whatever. Doesn't make a difference. Be creative, put a little spice, and have fun with this. Benjamin, unmute
Yes.
yourself for a second. Yeah. Do you see where I'm going with what I'm pointing out to you?
Yeah.
Does it make
I
sense?
I definitely see that.
All right. So, do you see how this pinpoints and laser focuses you on how you're asking questions and improving your skills on question asking?
I can see the potential for that. In my case, I think it more of is revealing my mindset behind asking questions and how I need to improve that, and then I'll ask more effective questions once I've resolved that issue.
Very good realization. And you'll notice that everything that you're doing comes back to exactly that. But at least when let's say you're not getting the information somebody from your prospect, and you're having a hard time establishing a relationship or a connection, you start off by figuring, okay, it's probably the way I'm asking questions, and the way you're asking questions is coming from your mindset. So then you can start correcting the mindset, so then you can improve your question, and then you go back and try that out and figure out what else is stopping you. But yeah, that's basically the idea. Sometimes it's worth it to focus in on and be surgical about what you're practicing, so that you can identify where the problem is and really improve there. Okay, so Kong, you're now the closer, and who didn't go yet? Richie?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are next.
Okay. It was funny that you said that, Russ. It could be any word because my word was going to be apple.
Good.
What? Hey, Richie. Okay.
Hey,
What does apple mean to you?
fresh fruit.
What do you like about flash fruit?
I like the taste.
Is there something you like to eat?
Yes.
And what is that something?
I do like to eat fresh fruit.
Mm. So do you cook your own fresh food then?
I don't cook fruit.
Oh, my bad. Oh shit, I heard food. My bad. Okay. So what kind of just apple then, or what kind of fruit do you like besides apple?
I also like oranges and bananas.
Bananas. Do you like anything besides fruits?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you like anything besides flash fruit?
That I like to eat.
What kind of food do you like to eat?
Everything.
Everything. Do you like to eat poo too or pee too? How does that work?
I mean, I would be open to trying that cat poop tea. That's pretty popular.
Oh,
So maybe everything.
maybe everything. We do okay. So how do you pay for all of these food then?
With my salary.
How do you get your salary?
I go to work.
What kind of work do you work?
Marketing.
What kind of marketing do you do?
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing. How much do you get paid?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Okay. So, who do you like to eat with? Who do you like to eat with?
My friends.
What family? You don't have any family?
I do.
You? You live with your family then?
Yes.
Okay, time's up. Very good, guys. So, Kong, my suggestion to you is your questions are focused on the fruit and the technical aspect of what he told you, but not on what got him interested in fruit or why he's interested in fruit. So you're not really getting to learn anything about him personally. And the type of questions you're asking him is allowing him to give you one-word answers.
Okay.
Ask your questions in such a way that encourages them to tell you a story.
Okay.
Okay? So I'll give you an example. Instead of asking him about the fruit, is what is it about fresh fruit that you like so much? He may give you a one-word answer, but another thing that went through my mind is do you live close to fresh fruit, or have him talk to you about his environment or where his interest comes from, and and try to find out a little bit more on his personal level. Now, the other thing you should never do is
Okay.
if you misunderstand a word, never say, "Oh, my bad," because he just revealed something that you hadn't realized, which is also a good thing.
Mhm.
So to put it in a positive spin and say, "Oh, thanks for clarifying. I misunderstood," type of thing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Richie, I think the only one left now is Alex.
Yep.
Go for it, guys.
So
Okay.
desk.
What do you look for when shopping for a desk?
Well, honestly, I don't.
So you pick whichever one looks nice?
If I were to go desk shopping, then sure.
Okay. Where do you use a desk in your day to day?
At school.
Okay. Mm. What you say you're in school? What are you studying?
I'm in high school, so like everything.
Everything. Okay. Well, what's your favorite subject?
Uh, well, I mean like academic subject or just like kind of like elective or anything.
All the above.
Then I'll say music.
Music.
Mhm.
Okay. What kind of what do you learn in this class?
Well, it's band, so it's like, and it's a jazz band, so we we play music and we learn music theory and
Okay.
how to be in an ensemble.
Nice. I've played for 4 years. All my years in high school, I played band too.
Mm.
So I know
What did-
exactly.
What
I
did
played
you
the
play?
clarinet for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I played for
Mm.
clarinet for 4 years, and then I was in the marching band as well for 4 years. So
Mm.
a lot of band experience. But what do you play in the jazz band?
Saxophone.
Saxophone. Um, remind me again the different types of saxophone.
Well, I play alto mainly, but there's also okay, well, starting from the very bottom, there's soprillo, sopranino, soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, uh, subcontrabass, and contrabass saxophones. Oh wait, right before, in between Barry and subcontrabass, there's bass saxophone.
Ah,
And that's all I know. But I play alto, and I've played soprano and tenor.
nice. So um, you have a wide skill set with the saxophone.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you
Okay.
could say.
Okay. What made you join the jazz band?
Well, I started playing in third grade, and then like I really liked it, and I just kept going, and now I'm in the band at the high school.
Mm. Have you ever considered switching instruments?
Mm, no, not switching, just kind of picking up new ones.
Oh, that's what I meant. Like a different instrument besides the saxophone.
Oh, I mean, just different types of. Well, I mean, I guess eventually, like, I'll probably start playing like flute and clarinet because a lot of the time those are like doubles that a saxophone player needs to play.
Oh, okay. do you see yourself growing this? Like, do you see yourself continue to play music, going into college, and so on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, not as a profession, but like very big hobby. Very, very big.
Oh, okay. I mean, I do have friends who, after high school, after they graduated, they started playing in local jazz bands.
Yeah.
So they do it on the part time. They have like a main time gig, and on the side, on late
Mhm.
nights they go and have a blast, like small
Mm.
cozy environments. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something that you could look into after high school.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how often do you practice the saxophone?
I try and get 3 hours a day.
3 hours a day. Okay. And what do you focus on during these practices?
Okay, guys, time's
Well,
up.
any of my
Time's up. Excellent. Excellent. Good going. You got Alex to tell you a story. Very nice.
I was actually trying to like well, in my head, when I said desk, I was gonna like start talking about kind of like how I dislike school, and like eventually like I'll need to like work, and eventually like I want to get freedom so I don't have to sit at a desk all day. But I think Richie uh, did well in making me open up about something else,
Very nicely done.
what I enjoy.
Yeah, very nicely done, by the way. Good role play, guys.
Thanks. Thanks for desk.
Yeah.
So, who was it that started off as a prospect with me? Was it
I
Benjamin?
think it was Michael.
It
Michael?
was me, yeah.
Okay, so now it's your turn to be closer and Alex to be prospect.
Okay. I was closing Ben.
Yeah, it's Alex that needs to be the closer.
Yes, yes, yes. Alex the closer, and who
Okay.
didn't play prospect up to now?
So give me a word.
Cabinet.
Cabinet. Interesting. In what ways do you use cabinets in your life?
Storage.
Okay. I know you run a clothing brand. Would it happen to be I know the name is Kira. Would it happen to be named after Death Note?
Yes.
That's my favorite. So, do you use it for your company?
That's where the inspiration came from, actually.
Which one?
Kira and Death Note?
Yeah. So do you use cabinets for your storage at work?
No, I don't.
Okay. So what well, what do you use what do you store in the cabinet?
Kitchen supplies, vitamins and supplements, snacks.
Mm. So this is at home, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, are you the only one who uses stuff from this cabinet?
No, my girlfriend does too, and my mom when she comes over.
I see. Who finds this cabinet the most valuable, and why?
I would say me, because I like to be very organized, so I'm in charge of the cabinets.
So, is organization something on a scale from 1 to 10? How important is organization for you?
Definitely a 10.
Now,
Hello?
in what other ways does organization help you?
It maintains a structure.
Do you like to see structure in everything you do?
In most things, yeah.
do you get frustrated with people who don't have structure?
Not necessarily. To each is their own.
Okay. Um, what are some other important qualities to you besides structure?
Being well informed, so preparation.
Okay. Okay. What do you do if you don't find structure in something, but it's something you really feel should have structure?
I create a structure.
Mm. And tell me how do you do this? Just one
Um,
example.
I guess it depends on the problem at hand.
Let's say it's an organizational problem at work. Uh, how do you organize tell me, do you have any employees?
I do not have employees, but I have contractors.
What was that?
I have contractors.
Okay. So how do you organize the tasks for your contractors?
I like to get to know the individual first, and based on their personality, I establish a system that's curated to them.
Mm.
Okay, guys, time's up. I couldn't listen as intently to this one because Cleveland is trying to connect with me. He's having issues, so I was trying to resolve that. But how did you guys feel? Michael, did Alex manage to get something out of you that was a little bit on a personal level?
He touched the surface, but there were times where Alex was about to go deep, but he kind of sidetracked and like he went back to the cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Instead of?
yeah. I think I went I know Dan says try and go deeper and not wide, and I think in the places I could have gone deep, I didn't completely realize, and then I started going wider.
Okay. How do you think Alex could have gone deeper? What kind of question do you think he could have asked?
Well, that conversation blew right past me. I wish I took. But he was getting there. I think if Alex had a little bit more time, the last question he asked about, if I had employees, kind of structure I had with my business, he was getting there.
Okay. Typically, you ask to go deeper. You ask more personal questions. Why somebody decided to do something, or what motivates them about something, or why is it important for them, instead of the technical aspects of a certain thing. That'll typically help you get deeper into the personal and the character and build a relationship.
May I add something?
Sure.
I think, so Michael did a great job of staying very, close with his responses, and when it comes to technicality, I think some of the questions you asked were too vague, so that Michael just say, "Well, it depends on the situation that I can be organized." But earlier into the conversation, there was a moment when you figured out that, okay, this Michael's very organized, and I thought maybe a question that could follow up would be like, okay, well, how do you stay organized in your life? How do you stay organized in your day to day? And then maybe that would have been a really like a door opener kind of, and rather than asking specifically how does he stay organized in his work or so. But you were eventually getting there. I just saw it's easier for me to see the opportunity as a third party listener, but that's something that I would have tried to open up there.
Thank you.
So, as you can see, guys, the purpose of this exercise is try to have the prospect open up to you as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Not always an easy thing, But that's why the 5-minute time limit is there, because if you had 2 hours, you'd probably be able to do whatever. So that's the purpose of this game. You can use it. It's a lot of fun to do it in a big group. I don't know if you have any questions around the exercise, or how to ask questions, or what kind of questions that were asked that you were wondering why that way, or maybe could have been done better. Let's take a couple of minutes on that and see if we can expand on your question asking skills.
Yeah, this exercise was really fun. Roz, sorry if you don't mind repeating the last bit of your comment there. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it was basically until what point did you hear?
Right before when you told us we should do with the exercise.
After that, I was basically asking if you have any questions on what type of questions were asked, whether if you agreed, disagreed, or you were wondering why that question was asked, or how you can whatever questions you have on becoming better at asking questions.
Okay. Asking you or amongst
Asking
team
me.
members?
Asking me or asking the group. Whoever's got an answer. So if you have any questions related to asking questions, by all means.
Okay. Being an observer with all of the role plays that we just had, I believe it was Benjamin Kong, where Kong was very resistant towards Benjamin's questions, where he was almost giving him one-word answers for each question that he's asked.
Correct.
What do you do in a situation like that to kind of open the prospect up? Is it through building rapport, or
Did you finish your question?
Mhm.
Well, the first reason I found that Kong was given Benjamin one-word answers was because Benjamin was feeling very restricted in the way he was asking questions.
Mm.
So, in order for the prospect to open up, you have to start with yourself being open and vulnerable with the prospect, and not be afraid to let loose.
Right? It's almost like an invitation to them.
Right. So I'll give you an example. You're going out to a bar and to meet the ladies, and the ladies are sitting there and they're all closed up and stuff. Does it invite you to go and talk to them? As a guy, you do it probably anyways because you don't give a shit. But is it an invitation for you to go, or they're telling you don't bother me? I don't want you to talk to me.
Right.
And is there a better chance of you talking to a lady or continuing a conversation with a lady that is open and inviting to have a conversation with you? Did I
Sorry
cut
guys, I'll
out?
be right.
Did I cut out, or did you hear what I said? Okay, Michael just muted his headphones as well, so he can't hear us. Does anybody have any other questions?
I guess when I feel that I'm getting in that kind of too
Sorry about that.
That's fine, Michael. Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
But when I'm feel I'm moving to a point where I am a lot more close than I should be. Is there any way, like a good method to kind of force myself to open up?
Um,
Like, I guess is there a way I can ask a question that actually forces me to be more open-minded?
yes. And this is an exercise similar to the why exercise. And you can start by writing on the first line, what I want to do is be more open and inviting. And why is that important to me? And go down that list and have that line of questioning to yourself and figure out exactly what's stopping you, and what's the worst that can happen if you do open up.
We'll do that.
There's, you can trick yourself into trying to open up, but unless you yourself are comfortable being open and vulnerable, your questions are always going to sound forced, tentative, and limited. So,
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it's something that I have to get my foundation where I need it, and then I won't have to worry about it long term.
Right. Yeah, so basically, I'm just get comfortable with yourself. Get comfortable with being vulnerable with people, I would say. Get to a point where you're not actually, if you don't mind me, Benjamin, I know you're not comfortable interacting with people you don't know. And that's probably the reason why the type of questions you're asking are like that. If you can figure that one out, you'll probably become more comfortable with asking the harder questions.
Okay, well, I guess that goes back to the making sure I'm both talking to people I haven't, as well as, like you said, really asking myself why I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, I would say I found personally that uh, very rarely do I get disappointed when I'm open and inviting with people. So, and being open and inviting to people actually allows me to much more quickly identify the type of people I don't want to spend another second with. So it speeds up my filtering process.
Guess I've never actually thought of it that way.
So yeah, that's exactly it. I know exactly what I accept, what I don't accept, good or bad. That's who I am. And I know exactly the type of people I want to spend time with and the type of people I are inconsequential. So the more open and vulnerable I am, the more you get two benefits. The people that want to take advantage of you think you're weak and show their colors a lot quicker, so you can put them on the side and forget about them much, much quicker than dragging them along and doing this stupid dance that is never ending, and you've got a weight that's around your ankle that's slowing you down. And the people that are right for you get attracted to you, and you start building a rapport a lot faster. So it just speeds things up. You just have the courage. Yeah, you just need to find the courage to be able to do that.
Well, thank you for that.
And yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And it might be the fact that your dad's a military guy. They don't have a tendency of sharing and opening up and being closed. I don't know if that's it, but just what you just mentioned may be one of the reasons. All right, guys. So we're past the hour. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to spend time answer them. But basically, the meeting's over. If you don't have anything specific you want to talk to me about.
Yeah, Raz, I do have a few points. I'll probably bring them up later, collect thoughts and back to you on. But thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Hope you guys found value in what we did today, and keep practicing and keep working on it. You're on the right track. Everybody's got their own little challenges. I hope I was able to identify points that will help you move along a lot faster.
Okay. All right. See you guys. Thank you, Raz.
Cool. Have
Thanks,
a great Sunday.
Raz. You too. Bye bye.
Bye. Benjamin, was there anything else that you wanted to talk to me about now that we're alone?
I'm just kind of brewing on what you said and trying to formulate an action plan to make that happen.
Did I drop a bomb on you today or what?
Well, no, it's more of it's certain points have consistently been brought up with me, and I've been able to chip some of that stuff away. But then certain areas are still there, so that's telling me it's a lot deeper entrenched than I thought it was. So I just need to now go deeper to get to the roots of it. Because that's where probably halfway into me doing replays, role plays, I had multiple people mentioning that like I didn't really sound like a Ruby Emerald when I would like be in a role play, but then I would when I'm out of play. I really kind of just went Emerald or sometimes Emerald Pearl. But the last few role plays I've done, people have said that they definitely get a lot more of that Ruby. So I take that as I am getting more comfortable with myself, but I definitely do see I'm not asking the questions I need to ask because I'm not sure why, but like you had something you want to say?
I want to let you finish. I want to let you finish what you wanted to say, and I may have an idea for you.
So one thing I'm actually started doing over the weekend to try to.
By the way, do you mind if I keep recording this for the benefit of everybody else, or do you want me to stop recording?
No, you can keep recording. It would be better to share. Someone else might benefit from it.
I appreciate it. Okay, cool. Let's continue.
So one thing I've actually started doing, I started doing this last Saturday, and I'm planning on doing indefinitely, is some of the blocks I've had, I do think is founded in like my relationship with my parents and some of the regrets and grudges and stuff that I had accumulated over my life. But one of the things that kind of hurt has hurt my ability, I think, to really be comfortable with myself is the relationship between my parents was always kind of an awkward thing of like they were and are both fully committed to each other as a married couple, but yet they've never truly known each other. Like, there was a lot of things my dad would do, and my mom would be like, I don't get why he does it. And the same the other way around, where
Mhm.
my dad would just not get why my mom did certain things. So it was in that kind of weird, they don't know each other, but yet they define themselves as being the spouse of the other. And so I guess I can't actually really recall a time in my childhood where I was exposed to a relationship and a conversation at any depth, like serious depth. Most all the conversations I can think of that I ever heard as a kid, they were all about technical things.
Hmm.
And so I'm thinking that's why I'm only really comfortable at that level, because I never, the only time I think I ever actually like let myself loose and just live was there was the time I had a crush on a girl when I was in my teens.
Hmm.
And
You only had one crush?
yep.
Okay.
And during that period, like I just, that was like the first time I could just talk with someone and just talk about pretty much anything, and the conversation would just kind of flow.
Okay.
So I mean that's where when I hear people talk about like, well, this is how conversations work or whatever, it's like some of that stuff, it's like, well, I actually don't know that. um, I haven't been exposed to that, so
Hmm.
I guess I guess some of it might be like in my head if my parents never engaged at any like real depth. Well, then if that's what a married couple, the only depth they can get to, well, then if marriage is like the closest relationship you can get, I guess I kind of extrapolated that any attempt at trying to go deep was kind of fake. So
I see. Okay. Hmm.
So what I'm trying to do to change that is actually, while I'm going through HTC, I actually last night invited my mom and dad over to my place, and I shared with them the regret. Well, actually, in the morning, I shared with them the letter to my younger self,
Okay.
and then I asked them to think about it, and then in the evening, I invited them to talk about it. And I also had them watch the one video on gem types,
Hmm.
because a big struggle has been my mom's very goal oriented
All right.
and my dad's not. And that often caused a lot of tension between them, because my mom was expecting him to like state goals, and she even would keep on like asking like, well, you need to make a list of your goals, you've got to have goals. And it just never seemed to stick. But as I've been learning about the gems and everything else in HTC, I realized, well, it's because dad's a pearl and mom's a ruby, and the only thing they have in common from gem is I would say they're both sapphire second.
Hmm.
So, because looking back, like even how they met, like they met when they were both in a sapphire mood, and so like most of their closest moments were when they were both sapphire, and then most of their tension is when my mom's full ruby and my dad's full pearl.
Interesting. Did your dad see active service?
My dad was a machinist, a destroyer providing shore bombardment duties during Vietnam.
So not direct combat duty, even though he may have inactive
He
duty.
well, like yes and no. He wasn't on the battlefield, but the ship was a ship that engaged with
Right.
um communist forces. It's just he was always within the ship, so it
Yeah,
was
he was a support, support, not active direct combat.
yeah, he was not a direct combat member.
Interesting. And no, actually, marriage is not necessarily the most intimate type of relationship. You could have a much more intimate type of relationship with a buddy that you share your most intimate secrets and desires and plans with. And you'd be surprised how unintimate certain marriages are.
Well, I guess that's something I'm learning. But those perceptions, I think, have shaped my mindset about things, and so I've got to unlearn that and then kind of get real.
Yeah. So the thing is, marriage is not a definition of an intimate relationship. Marriage could be just uh, an agreement of convenience, and then people fall into a comfort level, a comfort zone, and they just have a commitment to their obligations, and they just keep trudging along, even though they're not necessarily happy. So no, marriage is not necessarily the right yardstick to think about that. You sound like you're a very religious person. Am I wrong?
So to kind of expand on that a bit, so when I was a kid, my family was your kind of mainline Christian family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the previous generations were a lot more religious. Like I can't. I like my great grandma was what was it? Um, like she went to like India and all that. Missionary, where
Mm-hmm.
several of the family members were missionaries. It was you either became a missionary, a nurse, or soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for me, like as a kid, going to church never like connected with me. So, but it wasn't that like I didn't like it or I, like it wasn't anything against religion. It was, or maybe it would be more accurate to say it was nothing against spiritualism, but it was against religion. Like the idea of everyone always going to church and just listening to someone spout off his opinions never held any like weight for me. But eventually my mom got a point in her life where she started moving away from the church, and that kind of eventually resulted in the whole household moving away from the church. And I just kind of took that to the next level, and actually for a duration of my teens I kind of went like full atheist for a bit, but I really felt crappy. Like I so analyzed things that I got to a point where I basically convinced myself that nothing had meaning then.
Mhm.
And so, needing meaning, I eventually came back into religion, but I came in it with a, rather than like wholesale adopting a religion, it was more of study as many different religious works and philosophical works and then just kind of construct what I feel is true. So like for a lot of people I describe myself as a non-orthodox Jew because I try my best to observe the laws of Torah,
Mhm.
but I also don't in any way put any value on like a lot of rabbinic tradition. And so I wouldn't I wouldn't be completely honest saying that like I'm a Jew, because that would kind of make people think that I follow like rabbinic tradition, which I don't in any way.
Hmm. So, do you have a rabbi you think you can talk to?
No, that's like that's kind of the odd thing is there is like online I do there's some rabbis that I like watch their talks, but I kind of have avoided, and maybe this actually is connected to my um impediment of opening up, but like I haven't walked into a church, synagogue, mosque in a long time.
Doesn't have to be a priest. It just needs to be somebody that is capable of understanding what you're going through and connect with you. Um, and when you're talking about married life, actually Catholics have a tradition of going through training and stuff of that nature. So I don't know. I'm just thinking of different ways, but I wouldn't do it online. I'd do it person to person. Find somebody you can connect with and feel comfortable talking to, and try to figure that out a little bit. But it's definitely going to have to be something you work on, and the sooner you do it, the faster you'll be able to get comfortable asking questions. Actually, it's not get comfortable asking questions, is get comfortable with feeling you have permission to ask questions.
Well, I would definitely agree that's actually more of the cases. I run into so many times I feel there that I shouldn't do something because it would be out of turn. And that definitely does result me missing a lot of opportunities because I don't act because I feel it would be rude or whatever to do something.
So So you're stuck between being rude and not acting and missing an opportunity. So how
Yeah.
can you balance the two?
I mean, some of it would be asking myself why something is rude, why I feel it's rude.
Yeah, maybe long term, but it's just so that you can get going a lot faster. Why not just consider that it may be rude and acknowledge it to the person in front of you? Listen, I don't know, it might sound rude, but I have to ask.
I guess because in my head I would say, if you think it's potentially rude, why are you doing it?
Because I have to. And rudeness is a question of perception.
So I guess then isn't the problem that I haven't accepted that I have to do it?
Or maybe the possibility that you may be rude is such ingrained in you that that would not be acceptable, that it's preventing you from moving forward. It's not the fact that you've accepted it that it needs to get done or that you need to do it. It's just that compromising that sense of I cannot be rude is really what's stopping you. It's not the other one. So the way I look at it is when I think something could be perceived as rude, first of all, I apologize if that's the case and it's not what my intent is, but I have to ask a question. And if the person is so sensitive that they can't take it, it's just too bad. But I had to clarify. I don't know if that makes sense.
Intellectually, it makes sense, but I need to make that me. Like right now, it makes sense in my head, but it isn't what's in my heart, so I need to find how to make that happen.
Correct. You got to figure it out, and you have to decide what's important. Is it the possibility that something is rude and the fact that just because you're scared that you may think it's rude, you don't want to take a step forward? Is that acceptable to you, or that break is no longer acceptable and you decide to let people tell you that it's rude and actually give them permission to let you know if that is unacceptable? Because I found that a lot of times what I think is rude is not really rude. It's just in the way that it's given. Now I don't know where that belief comes from. I don't know if it's the conditioning your parents gave you, or it's school, or it's church, where you gotta know your place. I have no idea. You have to try and figure that where that's coming from.
Well, see, that's kind of one of the areas where I've both had a strength in my life, but also it's been a definite impediment, is with my schooling in particular. I was homeschooled, but I was homeschooled during a period of time where my mom was actually going through um she was suffering from lead poisoning, so she wasn't really best suited to be a teacher at the time.
Hmm.
So I basically had to teach myself almost everything. Like, I didn't learn how to read until I was 8 years old.
Hmm.
And now that's 100% on me because I actually outright refuse to learn to read. Like, my mom wanted to teach me earlier, but I was like, no, I'm not going to learn how to read. There's no reason to know how to read. Meanwhile, trying to write on Word and then wondering why I constantly misspell stuff.
Hmm.
But the actually, like, what motivated me is one of my brothers started programming, and that piqued my interest. And I was like, well, can you teach me how to program? And he was like, you do realize you need to be able to read what you're writing. And I was like, I guess so. And so I just went up to my mom and was like, time to learn how to read.
Hmm.
But
So it sounds to me like you just need the right motivation to get something done.
well, that's which kind of gave me the impression, well, I'm a really self-determining driven person. I mean, if I want to learn something, I will. But is that really true, or was really the only reason I wanted to learn was to become more comfortable?
I don't know.
Like, I think that actually might be the more accurate interpretation, is not knowing how to read just became so uncomfortable that the cost of investing some time to learn a fundamental skill became less than the pain of not knowing.
Hmm. Which basically reinforces what I just mentioned. You got to figure out a situation where you're opening up and giving yourself permission to be rude is less of a pain than not going there. Or your perception of what is rude. Change that perception of what rudeness is.
Well, also, isn't it really me being selfish, being so worried about what I feel is rude, when if the pain I would solve in someone else's life by asking that question is greater than the pain I personally feel by being rude in my own head? Like,
That's an interesting realization there.
am I not being like, well, my little pain is more important than your big pain?
That's an interesting one. Something to ponder on, yes?
I definitely, I guess I'm still learning so much about myself in this class.
And there's still so much more that you will learn about yourself. But I think you came to a big realization just now.
Well, that's where I'm both like, I don't know.
Well, Benjamin, let's stop that here today because you have quite a bit to think about already with what we talked about. And I do want to get in touch with the new member of the group that we're having a hard time connecting. And we'll pick this up again, absolutely. But
Alright.
you have a couple of points there that you need to think about quite a bit. And if you just get those two taken care of, you'll notice the big difference in your role playing and your skills as a closer.
Thank you for staying on for almost an hour after.
It's a pleasure, not a problem.
Well,
All right,
definitely have
Benjamin.
some thinking to do.
Yep.
Catch you later.
Yeah, have a great rest of a Sunday, and I'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye.